All right, so it's about 20 to 9. That's right. I'm going to try to get through this one without any additional commentary, kind of just because I want to get this part of the project done with. I think I've dumped enough of my own emotions on some things that at this point, like we can move on to the whole like next section because once we get through these intimacy ones, we can move on to the like more interpersonally, whatever, move on to the next criterion, right? Basically. I'm becoming increasingly convinced that given that I don't know what exactly everybody was up to and what was going on, that there just isn't a difference between someone who, like a complete narcissist, and someone who is just helping the powers that be do this mission involving me being in the complete fucking dark, living a miserable life for seemingly no purposeful motivation other than to just prove that you can. So all that being said, I just noticed that I'm also like not on. Um, I'm still in low power mode. I'm going to change that real quick. One moment. And we're back. See how quick that was? Oh my gosh, it's like no time passed at all. Okay, so anywho, I just wanted to put that out. I'm like, I'm really feeling more and more confident that there is something going on and that it just happens to be the case that the people that were largely involved with this, because I feel like both of my parents are narcissists too. Like I felt they both had this personality issue. My dad some kind like on the grandiose delusional side, and my mom on the covert like victim narcissist side of things. Um, and so anyway, um, that being said, I'm going to kind of try to hold on to a little bit more of the additional commentary in the spirit of maybe it would be beneficial if some of these videos were a little shorter anyway. So um, let's just get through this. So this is chapter 8, Don't Stand So Close to Me. So these are going to be, just a second, just going to refresh my own memory with this real quick. Yeah, so we're on to intimacy. So this one's going to be the actual diagnostic criteria attribute is that relationships largely superficial and exist to serve self-esteem regulation. So with that in mind, right? So this is where we got intimacy, right? Don't stand so close to me. So people who are intimate know each other well, are vulnerable with each other, share secrets, inside jokes, maybe even have their own slang. People are intimately familiar with gossip when they are members of the inner circle. They intimate what they want without being blunt. Places can be intimate when they are small, private, or cozy. Sorry, Salt and Pepper fans, we are not about to talk about sex. Are you intimate enough with hip hop to get that reference? All right. So yes, like I said, they'd love to be your friend as long as they get something out of it, right? So that their relationships largely exist for self-esteem regulation. You will not be able to convince a narcissist that their opinion of you is not fact. Once they have determined something about you, you won't be able to shake it. Or once they've determined that you play a certain role in their lives, you will never live it down. Additionally, if they believe they can help you with something, they will try. Read that statement very carefully. If they believe they can help you with something, they will. Not that you need it, not that you asked, not that it makes sense for them to help you with it. Conversely, as mentioned before, they will ask you for help with things that don't make any sense whatsoever to need help with, to a degree that you will want to ask if they need their ass wiped too. Rest assured that if you ever want your ass wiped, they will relish the opportunity to fuck it up. So, case in point one, just look at all of the stories about her and you will see my presence in her life as a surrogate big sister. There's flavors of sibling rivalry, expectation of inclusion, hyper-familiar desire for interaction. My redheaded friend, see, that detail came in handy. And I went to see the movie The Roommate, and when it was over, my friend told me that the protagonist was like me. She garnered that from a few limited interactions between me and her. And she's like, your problem is that you're like the victim chick in The Roommate. Here's a story that involves someone other than myself, but I observed it as well. I observed it as we were all together in the living room of the apartment. An acquaintance, oh God, this was so awkward. An acquaintance, let's call him Sean, had stopped by to drop something off to her. When I came home from class, they were sitting on opposite sides of the couch. She looked very comfortable, him not so much. She invited me to stay and chat with them, which meant that I was obliged to do so. Throughout the conversation, she asked him if he wanted a glass of water so many times that he eventually said that if he wanted a glass of water, he would go get one himself, which struck me as sort of odd. She insisted that she was a great hostess and she was simply acting in that capacity. That was even weirder to me, that she would try to tell a guest that they were wrong to find her behavior overbearing after they've insisted that they would help themselves, as though that was some teachable moment in which Sean needed to be told what hospitality looks like. It was super awkward. It really was. Like, I'm telling you, this is one of those stories too that's a really good example of something that a narcissist does that nobody's going to believe actually happened because it's just really weird, right? So I come in from class and they're both on the couch. She's when I say she's comfortable, I mean she's like in her sweatpants and a tank top with like one leg on the couch, one leg off, leaning on the back, like real comfortable pose. He's in, like khakis and a button down shirt, like he's dressed to be going somewhere doing something, and he's just kind of sitting there on the end of the couch, like facing forward with his hands on his lap, like he's looking like he needs to leave or whatever, right, and get on with his business. And she's looking like she wants to settle in and watch a movie. I mean, it was kind of strange. So anyway, so as she just keeps talking at him and offering him a glass of water, literally like every fucking like 90 seconds, she's like, "Are you sure you don't want something to drink? I can get you a glass of water." And he's like, "No, I'm fine. I actually need to leave." And she's like, "Well, I mean, like I'm an excellent hostess. If you wanted a glass of water, like I could just go get you one right now." And all this stuff. And it was just really weird, right? Like I'm feeling awkward for him. And then also at the same time, secondhand embarrassment for her, right? And so I'm really not digging this at all. And anyway, and so then at one point she literally says, "I'm a really great hostess. You should really let me get you a glass of water." Like, what is going on? Oh my God. Sorry, the tree just decided that I needed a snack. Um, so anyway, um, yeah, just awkward. And he finally managed to get away and out of the situation. And I know I said I was going to leave the commentary to a minimum, but I will just leave it at this for now. This whole interaction really, it has spoken to me about something else that was probably slash like I'm fairly confident was going on with her, based on just additional information. It's kind of a story time situation on its own because it involves other interactions that I had with my redheaded friend. And so all that being said, the other thing that's funny is, I've mentioned the girl from my hometown, right? We called her Eeyore, came up with the Pooh Bear nickname, was the cheerleader that won Kansas Junior Miss. She's a redhead. She's a natural redhead. My friend like dyed her hair auburn. But so I feel like that there was some sort of maybe triangulation. I feel like all of this got fucked up somehow, and I think she stole my seat at the Twilight Zone Casino Fight Club. And once she'd stolen it, there was no turning back. There's this girl, this chick, she's a woman, she's grown, I'm sure, that she has like the cutest little like kawaii like Japanese style, and she's into Kuromi, and I am too. And she just walked by in her little like black knee socks with a black and white checkered like frilly skirt and black cardi. Like she's put together cute. Like she looks like she just walked out of a TV show. Anyway, with her really cute Kuromi tote bag that I'm really jealous of. Okay, so I got a little distracted. But anyway, but the point is I feel like there was a little bit of maybe they wanted me to understand that this, but also with a little bit maybe of not knowing that I didn't know from the jump anything about any of this, right? So it's like if you were thinking that I should know that at this point we should be convening for strategic meetings about what's going to happen to me in Hawaii in the undercover Twilight Zone Casino Fight Club on the internet, and somebody has stolen your seat, like someone stole your profile, and so now you can't get to the meetings you need to be in, and we need to get this chick to understand that this is serious. Like she's not just frivolously like taking your place somewhere. You know, like imagine like if you received an invitation to a swanky party in the mail and your roommate just stole it thinking that you weren't expecting it or something like that, and that it's like that we need to get her to give you your credentials. We've got to squeeze her to give you what you need. And but I can't help because I genuinely didn't know I was getting invited to the swanky party. So I can't help them get her to give me my ticket because I don't know I'm supposed to be getting the ticket, right? So it's like, so I don't know. So I mean, we'll see. I really feel I'm at this point. One of these, like the truth comes out eventually, and to be honest, I am not thrilled that anything was ever going on in my life in the first place. That something like this could even have happened. It seems very, very strange. This is why, like, I love the Barbie movie for reasons that I don't think anyone else could ever possibly truly understand, right? It just there's things about it that really like that they it speaks to me for entirely different reasons, right? Like I could give a fuck about the patriarchy, right? I'm a little bit more concerned about how in the hell was a sentient plastic doll somehow magically thrust into the real world, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress. Okay. So Sean was persistent that he needed to leave to get ready for work, and she did what she does best. He continuously got dragged back into conversation as she suddenly had some pressing question or gossip. Eventually, he managed to weasel away from her grasp, and I would be lying if I said that it wasn't a relief to have someone else be her focus of socialization for a change, even if I still had to be privy to it. This is like the sticky note that someone put on his door about, like, we wish you could learn to be kinder to your neighbors. Like, at least I got to bear witness to someone else being treated so fucking weird by her. But anyway, I digress again. So after Sean left, poor guy, she looked at me and very smugly said, I know y'all are reading ahead. I know you are. I know you. I see you. I smelled you coming. God, I love the reel. I'm going to put it here just because. Why not? Let's just insert it. Oh my gosh. Okay. The like editing notes to self, like I actually listen to these when I edit them, but whatever. Maybe I'll do it when I get to the library right off the bat so I don't forget. Anyway, moving on. After Sean left, poor guy, she looked at me and very smugly said, he wants to fuck me so bad, but he's too shy about it. He should just go after it. I've given him every opportunity. What, bitch? That man wanted to get away from her desperately. It was written all over his body language, his speech, the tone of his speech, the way he kept darting his eyes at me, begging me to put him out of his misery. I mean, like he was that scene in Sex and the City with the call me and tell me something bad happened if I need to lose, so that if I need to like when I get out of this date, then I go and it's like, oh, something bad happened. Yeah, something bad happened. I have to go. Something bad happened. Like he's looking at me like I really wish that you would like say or do something. Be like, oh man, I'm glad you're here. Hey, did you want a ride or something? You know, like to get me out of this mess. Oh no, my worst enemy. We can just close that. I think I can get through this. And if not, I'll just stitch it together, right? All right. Everything about their interaction screamed awkward, and I wasn't familiar enough with him nor their relationship to know for sure, but I began to wonder if all of her offering him water was some euphemism for sex, at least in her mind. Maybe she thought that he hadn't picked up on that, and when he said that he would just go in our kitchen, find a glass, and fill it with water himself, that's literally accurate to what he said. He detailed making himself at home, which was then also additionally awkward. So this is why, like, the part where I say that it's like I feel like these people aren't talking about what they seem to be talking about because the way that they're talking about it isn't normal. Because like this guy maybe come over for 5 minutes at a time. He was dropping things off. Come on, guys, you weren't born yesterday. This man comes and goes like lightning. There's no sitting on the couch drinking a glass of water. There's no, I would just help myself and open all your cabinets till I found the stemware. Like, what the fuck? Okay, this is that's not happening. Okay, that was weird. It had to have been. She was practically begging this guy to have sex with her, and he was like, "Girl, if I wanted to fuck you, I'd have fucked you by now." Okay, like telling her to go fuck herself, not that he was going to go fuck himself, even though she was throwing herself at him. When he said it, she was way past irritated and full throttle on his way to being pissed off. I was thoroughly amazed at her interpretation of their relationship. I mean, I can't imagine being so fucking like oblivious. How do you not know when someone doesn't like you? But this also goes back to speaking to what I said before too, like even in the I think it was just the last video, right? Where I was talking about like how do people not know that they're bothering you just based on the way that you respond and the like short, curt responses and not making eye contact and like body language being closed off, like you're trying to like turn away, and stuff like that. How do you not pick up on the body language? Now, the thing that's funny about that as well is she fancied herself a body language expert. Like she talked about it all the time and had this book about like how to read body language signals. And I just remember after a certain amount of experience with her, starting to think that it's like, you know what, bitch, maybe if you actually sat down and read that book, it would help you like in leaps and bounds because all you do is misread that people want to be up your ass. And it's really, really strange. All right. Anyway, I think on that note, I am going to stop because my phone is down to 9%. It's like 9 o'clock right now. I'm going to go ahead and head to the library. I'll finish this video later on tonight. Not that any of this matters because by the time anybody's watching or listening to this, whatever, I'm just babbling. All right. I'm going to cut it there. All right, so I'm finally getting back into this, which you won't notice because it's going to be one continuous video. But actually, that afternoon, after I recorded the first half, I just didn't feel like recording the second half. And then it started raining, so it wouldn't matter anyway because that wasn't going to happen. And then I went to sleep and woke up in the middle of the night uh, and had to go to the emergency room. So, anywho, I had like some cellulitis around my ankle and lower calf, and it was really itchy one day, and I inadvertently kind of scratched my skin open. So I broke skin with my nails because they'd gotten quite long, and I thought it was going to be okay. Had it bandaged up, had some band-aids, some bacitracin or whatever it's called, and yeah, everything was cool until it kind of started getting worse, and then it was getting better, and then I ran out of band-aids. And so a week later on that Monday night, I woke up at about 10:30, and I was shaking and felt feverish and nauseous and had a headache, and I knew it was time to go before I wasn't going to be able to make the 100-yard walk. And I ended up being in the hospital for 4 days, ended up being discharged Friday afternoon, and so here it is now Sunday afternoon. But I do have my gym membership back, and I am showered, and I am massaged up, and all of that jazz, and now I'm going to continue. Yeah, life is like that. All right, so moving right along with this. Case in point, two. The peculiar thing about my position with him as a caregiver was that it was actually my job to indulge any number of stupid fucking behaviors. He insisted on showing me these damn coins that he found left behind in the Coinstar machine at the grocery store. Yes, that one, and there's that word again. He was addicted to going over there, believed that these things would be worth large sums of money, and insisted that I look at the anomalies he found that weren't anomalous at all. He just couldn't see well enough, due to probably his glaucoma, to be doing something like that. I eventually had, like, all he had for a magnifying glass was some kind of weird, like, scratched up, cheap plastic thing that was probably like a free gift with something from like 20 years ago or whatever. Like, he didn't even have like a real magnifying glass to be looking at coins with or anything like that. And he would peruse over them, and then he would think that they had, one of these special, characteristic printing or whatever you call minting. Coins is just minting, right? Anyway, these minting defects, and it was just a scratch from being in circulation. And no matter how many times I tried to tell him, like, these coins are only worth something if they're in mint condition. And he'd be like, yeah, I know that. But he'd bring over, like, really shiny coins to me and be like, look, he's like, it's in mint condition. And I'm like, did you find it in a Coinstar machine? And he's like, yeah, it was across the street in the Coinstar. And I'm like, then it's not mint condition. Mint condition means it hasn't been circulated. If it's in the Coinstar machine, it's been in circulation. And he would just, like, walk away from me. Like, and it's like, I don't know if he thought that I was just bullshitting all the time, or if his wishful thinking would just take over. And I know I'm like going off the rails now because I eventually want to discuss all of this in a couple of paragraphs. So anyway, let me just get back on track. I eventually had to have an intervention with him about it because the time and energy that he was putting into something so utterly and obviously futile was alarmingly pathetic. And his insistence on involving me was making me fantasize about pushing him out the window. Like, it was multiple times a day he'd come over and interrupt me and insist that I look at some dime or some penny with his magnifying glass because it had this character. And it was just like, dude, I finally had to stop and be like, okay, look, for starters, like, I don't care at all about coins. I don't care about coin collecting. I'm not interested in this at all. I'm not, and then you have to kind of go into like the rude territory of like, I'm not interested in you enough to like be interested in it because you're my friend and you're interested in it, right? There's like, I don't care at all. None of this stuff that you're finding is going to be worth more than the money it's actually worth, right? Or whatever, because you're digging it out of a Coinstar machine. And if you're really adamant that this stuff, that these coins are worth something, why don't you take them to a coin dealer and actually have them appraised? Like, I don't know why you continuously insist on involving me in looking at this shit. He even went to a coin collector's convention once to try to stop. This was like, because after I said that, I'm like, why don't you go have them appraised? And then there just happened to be like a coin collecting convention at the Blaisdell Center like a month after this. Okay. And he went and he took like 5 or 6 of these coins that he thought was worth something and ended up coming back home with his tail between his legs and like basically was like the dudes were looking at him and they said the same thing I said. They're like, where did you find these? And when he told, they're like, these won't ever be worth anything more than what they're worth because they've been in circulation. You're not going to find coins worth anything in the Coinstar machine. And I told him too at one point, I'm like, you know how, because it's like, you know, when you dump your coins into the Coinstar machine, and it sometimes it doesn't read them right and it spits them back out through this like reject slot, and that's where he's finding all these coins with this reject slot. And sometimes it's just because you've dumped in too many coins too fast and it can't keep up, and then sometimes it's like these are too dirty or they're bent or this, that, or the other. I would bet you dollars to donuts that the Coinstar machine is actually also set up to scan for all of this shit. And if there is a coin that happens to be that something that might be worth something, it probably filters that out somehow. And when the drinks people come, like, there's probably some weird stuff. Like, I don't. This is, that there was that meme or that like kind of the trend on TikTok a while back. It was like, what's the conspiracy theory that you'd actually like if you were forced to put money on? That one is probably mine. That the Coinstar machine actually has a secret, hey, this coin might be worth something dump slot. And they're actually like robbing people. But it's what is his name? Gary Vee like goes to these garage sales and knows that these toys and stuff that people are selling for dimes and nickels are actually really valuable, and he buys them for the dimes and nickels and then turns around and like sells them on eBay for hundreds of dollars. Right? Like people do. There was this one reel that I saw that was about like the Balenciaga like ratty looking shoes, and how it was like, why don't you just actually like give a homeless person $1,000 for their shoes? And somebody in the comment section, like people were really like, oh yeah, like you could just, and I was like, do you honestly think that people wouldn't know? Like, anyway, I'm going down a path, but like people, there was this comment and it was really popular where this guy like thought that it would be this genius idea to do something like that, but basically like offer a homeless person $100 for their torn up shoes and then turn around and sell them for $1,000 and use this as the way that you made your living. And I'm like, do you have any idea how absolutely fucked up that is, that you would do that? And there was a handful of people pointing that out in the comments, like, that's fucking diabolical. That's fucking evil. And it's like, it was just fucking bizarre. Anyway, but it was a lot, like thousands and thousands of people. I think I have it saved. So maybe I'll try remember to dig it up because I'm all caught up as of recording this video with uploading and everything. So I can try to remember and get to this point here and insert that video so you can see it for yourself. Because it was just like, I can't believe that somebody, it's kind of the thing, like, to me, and part of like what will be discussed in race, because I wanted to make this like a whole topic of a video, right, is like that um this is how people have ended up homeless in the first place. They've either had families that just fucking hate them for one reason, and usually like being born with a developmental disability, intellectual disability, etc., mental illness and stuff like that is why they can't fucking stand you. um and stuff, but like, or just being taken advantage of and exploited. You know, to think of all the homeless veterans, like, that's not a coincidence. That's by design, guys. Come on. You got to have people sucking the teeth. But like I said, these are things that are topics for Wraithline, and that's not this particular project. But, yeah. So anyway, all that being said, so he even went to a coin collector's convention once to try to sell them and was turned away by everyone, and even told me that they told him the coins were relatively worthless. They were obviously worth what they were worth, right? A quarter is worth 25 cents, right? They were worth what they were worth, and that was it, which was exactly what I had told him. Found in the Coinstar machine and it's still shiny does not mean it is in mint condition. It means it came from someone's daddy needs to quit saying fuck jar. God fucking damn it, it was just all too much. When we shopped together, you know where, he would make random comments to other shoppers while I was pushing the shopping cart. He'd look over at some guy just minding his own business walking past and say, "Look out, woman driver," when nothing happened to inspire the sentiment. To make matters more awkward, he had problems with spatial orientation, again, due to the glaucoma, and didn't realize, so I've had way too much coffee and way too much food today, so if I'm like stuttering or like stumbling over my words, it's because I am on like cloud 12. Okay. He didn't realize that he would misposition himself with respect to the cart, causing him to walk into the person that he was blackmailing. Then they look at me like, what is he talking about? He's the jackass that can't walk in a straight line. It was really off-putting that he was interested in making a fleeting connection with a stranger at my expense, and embarrassing that he would do this unprovoked and without evidence. It always felt like I was guilty by association. What must people think of me if they believe I enjoy the company of this prick? He would stand in the way of myself and other shoppers while he was so self-consumed by what he was looking at or trying to do that all sense of public presence went out the window. He'd be talking to me about something we should have put on the list when we were standing in front of it, because I did put it on the list, but I can't grab it because he's standing in front of it. This happened really frequently, especially like with condiments. I would turn down the aisle to get more ketchup because it's on the list, and then when we would be there, he would stop and he would stand between me and the ketchup and be like, "Oh, ketchup, do we need that? Yeah, I bet we do. We probably should have put it on the list. Which one do you want to do?" And it's like, it's right there. If you would just fucking move, it's on the list and I could grab it and we would be on the next fucking aisle by now. But he had to make a fucking spectacle of himself every fucking chance he got. I mean, I cannot stress this enough. He had to make a spectacle of himself every fucking chance he got. It was crazy. She was similar, but to almost in a more respectable way or respectable degree, or in a way that was at least like understandable or situationally appropriate. I don't know, like that she would definitely go overboard, but I mean, it's like when I'm just trying to like go from my room to the bathroom in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday, and you want to insist that I sit down with you on the couch to go through all of your photos on your Facebook. That was a little extreme and weird, but I don't know. I mean, it's not saying that something's not on the grocery list when you don't know what's on the grocery list, when we're at this point in the grocery store because it's on the list. Like, it's just a constant, nonstop moroniphon. When I pointed this out to him, he'd seem surprised and still have to be told to get out of the way so that I could retrieve the item. He projected his disabilities onto me. If he couldn't hear the TV, he would ask me if I could hear it. If I let him turn up to a volume that he was agreeable with, it was loud enough to hear it at the opposite end of the hallway. When he handed me things to look at, it always came with a magnifying glass. There was a sense of pathetic disappointment when I didn't use it. I got the sense that he was convinced that I was unduly burdening myself by not using the tool as opposed to gaining the self awareness that he needed it and I didn't. He didn't feel sorry for himself. He felt as though I was being stubborn. He couldn't grasp that we weren't a case of the blind leading the blind. It was a case of his blindness and me, the one leading, feeling incessantly tortured day in and day out. He asked to do things for me that I could do for myself if I wanted it done. Closing the window, turning on the light, just like her asking Sean if he wanted a glass of water over and over again. Every time we had a meal that involved rice, like stir fry, if he made the rice, he would make way too much rice. I mentioned this to him several times. Once he even told me while I was making the rice to make 2.5 cups, and when I said that that's way too much, we always throw half of it out. He acted like I must not know how much rice it would make. That was absurd because I made the rice more often than he did. He knew that and knew that he always had to throw copious amounts away whenever he made it. And the real meat of the sandwich, I knew how much rice I would eat. His response was that he eats a cup himself. I reiterated that I don't eat that much rice. Like so, and also when he'd say he'd eat a cup of himself, so you're like rice doubles when you cook it. So half a cup of uncooked rice makes a cup of rice. So for some reason, he would say that he knew, right? So his 2.5 cups of uncooked rice would make 5 cups of rice. He would eat 1 cup of rice. I ate less rice than he did. He was way overdoing it with the rice. When I cooked the rice, I think I would make like 1.5 cups of uncooked rice just in case. And then because then there could be a little left over for the next day or whatever, right? So like, but there was no need to make all this extra rice. I still to this day can't wrap my head around why this is such a difficult thing for him. Truth be told, okay, so and I didn't eat that much rice. Truth be told, neither did he. He piled it on his plate, but then threw about half of it away. We probably discarded more rice than we consumed. His response, oh, that's okay. What he was doing was okay, even though it was extremely wasteful, and on top of it, he insisted that I make more. How irrational can you be? Right, and it was the other thing too, just the irrationality of trying to tell me that I eat more rice than I think I eat. It was strange. It was like, no, I definitely make 1.5 cups of rice when I make it. You take all the rice you want first. I take the rice I want. There's always still rice left over. Whenever you make the rice, you throw more of it away than we eat combined. How hard can this be? Fucking dipshit. That's okay, was his response whenever he got feedback that he did something less than stellarly. The task he kept fucking up suddenly just became petty. It was very, I don't understand why you're mad. It's not a big deal. When it was kind of a big deal. The interesting thing was that while it may have been the case that each individual instance could be written off as insignificant, the overall understanding that he just wasn't very good at things never seemed to sink in, because all of the evidence of that character flaw was brushed aside, in one ear and out the other. Saving 10 cents a day may not seem like much, but at the end of the month, you have $3. We could have fed half of sub-Saharan Africa with the rice he threw away because he had to make a full rice cooker's worth of it at every meal. We had chili mac for dinner one night, and he bought a 1 pound box of Berea elbow macaroni. When I chuckled and asked why he didn't just get the big bag of regular elbow macaroni, he said that this was the smallest he could find it in. I clarified that the expectation was that he would get the large, cheap bag of macaroni. It's okay, this was only $2, he replied. I elaborated that for that same price, he could have gotten 3 times as much in bagged pasta, and then there would be macaroni on hand just like the rice was. He looked forlorn and proudly announced that we could make macaroni salad. At that point, I was so frustrated that I coldly stated that macaroni salad is simple and that the amount of pasta he had purchased would only be enough for dinner, a fib, but like to get the point across. You didn't buy enough fucking pasta. Like, oh my, even just rereading this now, I'm getting so fucking frustrated. Like, it was just like, this man doesn't understand anything. And it's like basic ass shit. Right? So like I said, it's like you could go to the store and for $2 you could get a 3 pound bag of some generic run of the mill elbow macaroni. Or you could buy this name brand colorful box, 1 pound box of pasta Berea fucking elbow macaroni, which is what he bought. I think, like I said, I was making chili mac. So I'm gonna make like half the box probably. But let's just say for the sake of argument, that 1 pound box you bought is just enough to make dinner tonight. In order to have macaroni left over to be on hand, you needed to buy the bag of macaroni that was probably what I wrote on the fucking list. Like, insane, insane levels of just not capable of shit. Now, I will say that I've seen enough reels of wives complaining about their husbands, especially when it comes to grocery shopping. And this was one element of his personality that I used to tell myself, I'm like, I think this might just be because he's a man. And so I want to put that caveat here is just, but like dudes, like pull your head out of your ass. Because this shit is like, if it was a snake, it would have bit you. Or like, how hard is it to understand that like three is more than one, and that like pasta is what, an egg, flour, and water. Like it a lot for all intents and purposes, it's probably easier and cheaper to just make it yourself fresh. The fuck, right? That it's like some of this stuff. It's like y'all can't just like pick up on shit by the time you're a grown ass man. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Okay, anyway. I suggested that I could take the box back and exchange it for a respectable bag of macaroni. He said that it looked like it was about to rain outside. The point is, rather than be open to learning from me how to be a more frugal shopper, he seemed to go in the opposite direction. I got the impression that he was well off growing up and was stuck in a financial rut being a label whore at the grocery store. Now, here's another thing I've noticed a lot, and this is something too, like, because I watch a lot of kind of like socioeconomic, political, like YouTube channel commentaries, blah, 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 right? And one thing that I picked up on is to have a lot of the people who do these sorts of reaction videos is that a lot of y'all that seem to be struggling though, like financially with being able to afford groceries, it's happening because you're insisting on buying the things that you want to buy instead of buying the things that you can afford. And that was the problem that he had, right? So like he would want to have like ribeye steak and baked potatoes and like steamed fresh broccoli, let's say, or whatever, like once a week, right? This like $30 meal or whatever with his $170 a month in food stamps. And then wonder why he was overdrawing his bank accounts. It's like you can't afford to eat like a king, dude. Like you can't just, it's not gonna just magically happen because you grew up on the frosted flakes with Tony the Tiger on the box, right? It just doesn't, you yourself do not have the funds to make that happen, right? So, like I said, right? So I got the impression that he was well off growing up and was stuck in the financial rut of being a label whore at the grocery store. He was never satisfied with anything less than the name brand products. It had to be Welch's grape jelly, Skippy peanut butter, Love's bread, Oscar Mayer bologna, Frosted Flakes with Tony the Tiger on the box, Heinz ketchup. Okay, let's be real, that's kind of all of us. Lay's potato chips, Pepsi Cola. He'd turn his nose up at store brand items, but he really couldn't afford to be buying the national brands. Like, dude, you're on food stamps. Put down the $9 box of cereal. He asked me for information like bank hours that I couldn't possibly just know off the top of my head. I didn't even bank at that particular bank, and he knew that. Why on earth would I know when they close on a Saturday? I usually told him that he needed to look it up himself. Couldn't have him getting too helpless. I wasn't going to be around forever because he knew how to use Google. This was one of those things that I found disturbing. And on that note, I'm going to stop upsetting myself by hashing out all of the bothersome things he did in the name of friendship. He would treat me like I was stupid, then acted helpless if he was doing what in then acted helpless as if he was doing me a self-esteem favor by admitting that I could know something he didn't. Maybe it was backhanded. He knew that I wouldn't know, so in humbling himself by admitting he didn't know something, he thought he made himself look good, but didn't lose any smarty pants points because I didn't know it either. He was using me to psycho-emotionally masturbate himself. Right. Which but like for in weird ways that it's like, okay, so you really think that it doesn't strike me as odd that you think I would know what time your bank closes on a Saturday? I mean, that's fucking weird, right? What is that supposed to accomplish? Now, in light of the Twilight Zone Casino Fight Club, maybe that's what he was actually talking about. Right. So that's what it's like some of these weird conversational, I feel like anomaly is not the right word, but I just don't know what else the word to call it. Um, that these little anomalies were when they were trying to talk to me about shit that I don't know exists, or that they think that I'm running that I don't even participate in. It's like if you were a member of a group that was putting on a bake sale, for instance, or something, and somebody just happened to ask you, like, hey, what time is the bake sale on Saturday? And you're like, I don't have any idea. I'm not on the bake sale committee and I'm not even baking anything for it. Do you know what I mean? And then they act all like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Anyway, all right, so that's the end of that one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video, but I'm going to keep recording because I feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I am close to the finish line. And as long as the weather permits, I'm going to just keep it moving. Alrighty, so until next time, bye.